Hey UK Bills Mafia, this is Christian Wade of your Buffalo Bills. This is the Red, White, and Buffalo Blues, a UK Bills podcast with your hosts, Matt and Alex. Let's go, Buffalo! Woo!
Hello and welcome, Bills Mafia, to a new episode of the Red, White, and Buffalo Blues. You've got Alex, you've got Matt, and we're joined by Anthony Marino of the Buffalo Rumblings. Anthony, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey guys, it's been way too long since we connected,
Yes.
so I'm glad to be on with you again.
Yeah, we love it. We loved it last time. It was just after the draft, wasn't it? We actually reviewed all the draft picks and all that, and this time we get to do it sort of beforehand.
Absolutely. Well, and it's funny, right? You think of 10, 11 months ago, the last time we connected, just how different things are at this time, and it's just like I said, it is really good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Speaking of things being different, I mean, all of the free agent talk and draft talk is a lot different from last week because what a week it's been for Bills fans, right? The stuff that Beane has done is unbelievable.
My head was spinning the last couple of days because I think, like a lot of Bills fans, right, you almost came to peace of like, all right, Matt Milano is going to move on. You can't really afford him. He's going to demand a huge contract. Then you get his news on Thursday, right? And you get this just like kind of jolt of adrenaline.
Oh yeah.
So then you're thinking, all right, there's no way. Well, Daryl Williams is definitely gone, and then you get that signing on. So I don't even know what to do.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's shocking me because I mean, let's say, we had a discussion, me and Alex, on the previous episode. Would you keep Milano? Would you keep Williams? I mean, I love Matt Milano. I've loved him since he's been at the Bills and came over from Boston College. I said Williams. I actually said let Milano go. Make sure Williams is done. So you've got those bookend tackles. So you don't have to get a plug and play rookie potentially in straight away. But when they signed both of them, I'm there thinking, I need to pop open a nice celebratory beer or something, anything like that, just to celebrate what he's actually done.
Well, and I was in that same boat, right? I thought if it was me, I was thinking, all right, if you can get Williams for $9 million a year, and if Milano is going to command somewhere around $13 to $14 million per year, right? You're trying to be reasonable with it. And I agree, right? Getting those bookend tackles seemed like a priority, right? For what you are on offense and some of the options that would be there in the draft. So still kind of stunned that they were able to get both.
Yeah.
There's been other moves looking at, I mean, it's funny because, we all try and put on our Brandon Beane hat, and then they do pretty much everything that none of us expected. So it just goes to show, A, how fun it is, but also B, how much we don't know about the inner workings of running a football team. Because we were like, oh, they're going to cut Addison and Butler, and, we're not going to be able to do Milano. So this has just been great. But the one thing that did stick that I think everybody was kind of ready for was losing Brown. And I just wonder, that stings based off his comments, but where does that put us at wide receiver?
Well, it's funny as you bring that up too, because that did sting, right? I think for a lot of people, even before the comments, because I don't know about you guys, right? When John Brown signed with the Bills and that first season he had in 2019, it was that rapport he had with Josh Allen that really helped him take that step, right? And not to say that you were giving too much credit to Brown, but it was, hey, without him and Cole Beasley, and you think back to that 2018 receiving the Bills had, right, with Kelvin Benjamin and Andre Holmes and Zay Jones, and just how bad that was. And right, like you said, that's why we're not the GM, because you have a soft spot for these players. I was always hoping that with John Brown, it's like, not that you want guys to go through pay cuts, but as you said, we've certainly seen it with Butler, Addison, and Morris. But would that be something, right, to maybe bring him down to $6 million to save $3 to $4 million? Or, do you add a year onto his contract and make it a 2-year, $14 million deal where, again, you can save that same money and play around with things a bit? But For Brown, I hope he ends up with a good team, with a great quarterback that he can be a piece to, continue what he has done, because just a class act in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But like you said, right, that what do you do at wide receiver? I mean, everyone wants to anoint Gabriel Davis, and I love what we saw from him as a rookie. They are two different players, right? So you start to look at that speed element. So it's less for me about what Davis can do, but if you lose Brown and if you lose Isaiah McKenzie, then there is some deficiency of speed from that receiving core, and you need to do something to address it. So I do look at someone like Isaiah McKenzie and hope that the Bills can bring him back. I'm not saying that he is the replacement for John Brown, but he can do some John Brown type things, right? I mean, we saw him as a receiver. I know everyone wants to focus on the punt return against Miami, but as a receiver in that game, we saw Isaiah McKenzie have the opportunity to really shine. And I'm a big believer in him and just kind of what he brings to the offense, even on those jet sweeps. So I think if you're going to lose Brown, you really have to bring McKenzie back or someone like that.
Yeah, I think I the last few games I was actually tweeting out saying we need more McKenzie, and all the previews I said we need to get McKenzie more involved because he can do all. We can do the jet sweeps. He's an adequate placement. He can perform well in the game. Obviously, he's got the punt return capabilities, but in him you've got someone that can do anything. You can even give him a trick pass. He's obviously played scout team quarterback on there. He's pretty much almost like a jack of all trades. Possibly link him maybe to a Chenault type player minus the more run game on there, but he can still be used in there if needs be.
Yeah, I think he was a real underrated piece of the Buffalo Bills offense this last year, because based on the number of snaps that he would receive, incredibly effective in that time. And you even look at his catch percentage. I don't have it here in front of me. And I realize a lot of it's on those little jet sweep pitch forwards. Allen passes the ball forward 2 feet, right? And McKenzie's there, and he gets it cutting across and makes something happen. But to have someone that reliable on your offense, but someone that defenses would really need to be aware of when he's on the field, whether it's just as, some sort of a diversion or, the actual primary option on that play. I'm a big fan of McKenzie. So.
Yeah, I mean we've got a decent we've got Diggs and Beasley anyway on there, and obviously Gabe Davis is coming through. I don't think he's heir apparent next year. Maybe one more year of rotation, actually get him involved a little bit more. Then probably in the third year, then you say he definitely is going to be a number 2 on there. But it's now a question of where do we go at wide receiver? Do we get a veteran in? Do we get Kenny Stills in? Bring him back, or do we draft another guy early or late, just come in and just be that rotational piece with Davis? I think the situation we're in, we can go many ways, and actually and really keep that depth there and keep this team intact.
Yeah, it is going to be. I always look at it at this point, right? Anything that they do on offense can just be exciting, because it's not that someone needs to come in, and you guys remember this from the past, right? Even when the Bills had, they signed Duke Williams, and we all love Duke and what he did in the NFL and the potential he had, but it was like, we need to get this guy that can be that diamond in the rough type, right? You think of the affinity we all have for a Stevie Johnson, like a late round pick that just, you don't necessarily need that with what you have right now. So you mentioned Kenny Stills, which I think is a great name to bring up, because he was on the roster for a few weeks down the stretch last year where the Bills get a chance to see what he can do. I mean, again, he'll hit free agency, but there are going to be talented players out there that might just be signing that 1 year prove it type of deal, because I need to latch on with someone. When you're a wide receiver, right? If you can be a part of a dynamic offense, which the Bills have now, it's still kind of crazy to say that. And but you could see someone saying like, hey, let me latch on with Buffalo and again, 1 year, see what I can do and maybe set myself up for when the salary cap gets back to normal.
Yeah. And speaking of like a late round guy like Stevie, do we know anything about Isaiah Hodgins and like what he could bring?
I don't. I mean, and it's funny because, there's been a lot of talk around Hodgins, right, since John Brown was cut. And it seemed like he had a very impressive practice early in training camp last year, right, that kind of got things abuzz. And then there was the injuries, and he was pretty much done at that point. So, there's a lot of question with it. I think it's probably someone that when you look at Hodgins, he'll be fighting for a roster spot with guys like Duke Williams, Jake Kumro, right, signed to a futures contract with the Bills. And, we saw him, flash with that touchdown reception, I think against the 49ers before he got plucked after going back down to the practice squad. And not even just, I'm not expecting the Bills to draft a wide receiver early in the 2021 draft, but maybe they've got 2 5th-round picks. Maybe they get someone with a little bit more upside than someone like Hodgins or, a Duke Williams or a Kumaro. So it's going to be interesting to see, because you're talking about maybe 5 or 6 spots on the roster, and not just McKenzie is being a free agent, but Andre Roberts too, who really just a kick and punt returner. But, special teams is where it's at. So for him, not really much as a receiver.
Yeah. And if you get someone like that in the draft on there, especially with one of those 2 5th-round picks, you've essentially saved more money on the cap or towards the cap, because you're not going to be re-signing potentially McKenzie and Roberts and getting someone on a cheap rookie deal there, who can do the same job, and they develop him into that potential wide receiver number 4. Potentially up challenging later on in their rookie years.
Well, and speaking of special teams, Matt, I just noticed like 2 minutes ago, you're wearing a Reed Ferguson jersey. I don't think I've ever seen.
No.
99. I thought it was 69. I was oh my gosh. I was like, I've never seen that before. And I think you've had Reed on the show before, haven't you?
Yeah,
so,
a few
Matt
times,
definitely needs to get a Reed Ferguson jersey for sure.
This is one of my old ones. One of my it's a Marcel Darius one.
Awesome.
Yeah, from the time I met him in London, so I've had it since then, and he's even signed the hat.
That's fantastic.
Well. Yeah, that's my claim to fame.
Looking back at Beane's big week, I don't want to forget anything, but there's just been so much. Looking at the Butler and Addison pay cuts, I think we're around 4.9 available in the cap right now. I think Sport Track says. Is there anything else Beane could do to the cap to give us more room for free agents?
Well, and again, I don't think I've seen it yet, right? I don't think they've even announced what the cuts have been for Butler and Addison. So I'm really curious to see what those look like. We know that Morris freed up $3 million in space for 2021. So that's fantastic. And maybe those 2 guys, if it's somewhere in that neighborhood, you could be looking at an additional $6 million on the cap. Guys that stand out to me, Lee Smith, right? Lee Smith was on with, I think it was a Tim Graham and Friends podcast, and he was talking about retirement as a possibility, right? And really saying, like, if I'm not all in, I am not going to do this. Now, nothing has been decided yet. He hasn't announced a retirement. The team hasn't announced a cut. I mean, he is $2.25 million. I love what Lee Smith brings to the team as a blocking tight end, but you have to think, can you get some of that production maybe from a Reggie Gilliam or, again, right, an undrafted free agent at this time? Certainly a leader in the team, but from that production standpoint, is he delivering there? So that could be a savings of $2.25 million. Another guy that comes up is Tyler Matakevich. And $3.7 million cap hit for a core special teamer. That gets a little bit tough, right? As you're talking about the potential to re-sign a John Feliciano, or dollars that you need to add an edge rusher if you want to go after a Carl Lawson, whoever might be out there, right? Like, that's a lot to pay. And again, I don't diminish special teams. It's an important part of the game. And when your special teams are horrible, it really stands out like a sore thumb. So there is certainly a value that he brings to the team, but a $3.7 million cap hit in a year when you're a little bit cash strapped. I'm trying to pull it up real quick to see what the exact number is. So, I mean, his dead cap would only be $350,000. So, could that be a restructure? Could that be something where, here's a guy that, gets cut or takes a cut. The other two is someone like AJ Klein, the re-signing of Milano. Yeah. He has a higher dead cap number, so making him an outright release only saves you about $2.4 million at $4 million of dead cap. I like AJ Klein. I mean, I like the AJ Klein that we saw after he had a little bit of a resurgence after being a little lost earlier in the season, but is someone that can be a backup linebacker, is someone that, on pass rush downs can, effective with 5 sacks last year, but that $6.4 million hit is a little bit much. I'm no cap wizard, but some way that they can move some things around to maybe lower that number a bit. I could see them finding some savings there too.
Yeah. I mean, with the Matakevich one, I've been looking recently and I've seen names pop up on the draft list of Jamin Davis of Kentucky. Apparently he's a special teams ace. He actually, I think he got like a 2nd or 3rd round grade on him. Can actually groom him behind Milano, Edmonds on there, and you've got that special teams capabilities with him. That you're taking that $3 million from Matakevich if you release him, taking Jamin on, and you've got him for 4 years as a special teams guy on a rookie deal. So it's definitely something I'm assuming that Beane and McDermott and the scouts are all going to look at in the 3rd to 7th round of the draft for those guys that could, in effect, make the decision of cutting certain players a little bit more easier if they've got their ready-made replacement or replacements lined up, especially through the draft.
Well, and it is hard, right, with guys that don't give you snaps during, on offense or defense. So that is an Andre Roberts who we talked about before, who you love as a reliable kick returner and what he brings to the team. But it's just, hey, is there someone that can do both of those things? Tyler Matakevich, right? Like, he's in the linebacker room, but he is not the linebacker that you want on the field. If someone needs a break or heaven forbid they get injured, you're thinking of a Tyrell Dotson or an Andre Smith probably first in that scenario. And Tywan Jones at running back falls into that as well. Another guy, a core special teamer, but made $1.75 million last year. To do that versus someone on a rookie contract that can maybe give some production, as a back or as a defender or whatever it may be, and give you that special teams piece, not where it's just an all or nothing when it comes to special teams. And those 3 guys really fall into that category.
Yeah.